Hi you all, this is Rachel here, the Modern Shaman. Thanks for being with me for another YouTube Q&A video of the week. As always, if this is your first time watching this video, I begin by just recommending that you go to my website. I would love for you to kind of just check it out. It's a great resource of how to get connected with me for one-on-one sessions here in San Antonio, Texas, or any information about my masterclass, my teaching curriculum. All of that is available for you on the website. Again, that's themodernshaman.net. Also, I am a month away from my body and soul retrieval ceremony that I'm going to be housing here in my courtyard right outside my home office. So if you are going to be anywhere near San Antonio, Texas on April 14th, I would love to have you and your friends or loved ones. It's going to be a beautiful ceremony focused on a soul retrieval and a body retrieval. I am combining forces with a fellow practitioner that I've worked with for many, many years from Austin, who's coming in, and it's going to be a deep and profound time of healing and change and transformation. So if you're interested in the body and soul retrieval ceremony coming up in April, then just reach out. There's a lot of information on the website, but also you can send me a request for more information. I'd be glad to do that. All right, here's the question for this week. Let's move on to that. It says, hello there, beautiful. Might you do a video on free will and the practical use of our power? Okay, let me see how I want to tune into this question of a video on free will and the practical use of our power. Even as I am speaking to you right now, I have an awareness that I am speaking to you on one level, and there is a multidimensional vision that I'm seeing that looks like a sphere or a cell, and they're showing different layers. Or you could also say an M&M, right? There's some practical language for you. It looks in my vision clairvoyantly almost like an M&M, a shell, a candy that has many layers, or a cell, a molecule, and there are many layers of interaction energetically. So that being said, when I see that, I'm just aware in my own meta-consciousness that this is a question that will speak pointedly to an individual, but this will also be a collective answer, and this will also speak to collective groupings as well as our human species. So it's going to be able to be applied on many levels. So take that at whichever level that seems relevant for you right now. So when you begin your free will journey as a spiritual being, incarnating in this lifetime under this name, I'm speaking to you right now. When you begin to activate and become conscious of your free will, it typically begins with rebellion. So on a larger meta level, this is where we see our cultures kind of rebelling against systems. This is where we as a teenager see our teenagers rebelling against parents or the systems that are put around them. I know for me, and I can only speak from where I am and the advice that I have available to me, but I was always a very rebellious child. I was never disrespectful or mean or angry, but I was very rebellious. So there was an energy inside of my skin that literally could not stand being repressed or structured in ways that felt irrelevant. Now, if they had meaning and purpose, and I understood and aligned with those structures, then I had no problem following them. If there were rules for safety, not sticking your finger in an outlet, fine. No rebellious energy against that. There was nothing I was wanting to press against, but for systems that felt inconsequential or that had no purpose other than to homogenize and make us all the same, I could not stand that. Like there was something in me that just fought and had fight and noise or friction against that. And I think I see that a lot in my career with old souls, or those that have had a lot of incarnations on this earth and have already kind of been there, done that. Because I know for myself, man, as soon as I came into this life, I hit the ground running. Okay, and I knew what I wanted, and I was like, get out of my way, I'm going. I didn't even apply to any colleges in the same state as my family. I was like, I'm out of here. And when I finished college, I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm going to, I went to another country and went abroad. I finished college early. I did 3 different majors. I'm like, don't confine me. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm interested in this and that. And then I just, that's the way I rolled. And I see that pattern in those that typically have been old souls on this earth for many, many lifetimes. It's kind of like, I got unfinished business to do. Just let me go do it. I'm already on my path. And so if that's you, be encouraged because I had a lot of rebellion. I think that is the first step towards sovereign autonomy, where you recognize in your immaturity, don't get me wrong, I was immature, I was naive, but this is how it goes. And not in a sense of judgment, in a sense of an awareness of that's where everyone starts when they become autonomous and realize like, this is not me. This does not fit me. I don't agree with that, or I am different from that. I am me. And so this sense of autonomy that psychologically begins to work out. I always had different color hair. I have a nose ring. I had piercings. I had all over my body. I had gotten tattoos. And it was just like these things I need to express my sense of self without limitation. And again, it wasn't against anyone. It was more so the system. I remember one time I was a missionary. During that time when I was a missionary, they had psychological evaluations on us every so often. And this was just part of the process to make sure that we were mentally doing okay with the amount of difficulty or strain or stress that was being put on us at that situation. I was an inner city missionary, and there were drive-bys where people killed all the time on that literal street where I lived. Children, adults. It was a very rough environment. And so many of you may know that environment if you've grown up in that environment or lived near environments that are kind of feel like a war zone, right? So anyways, we had these psychological check-ins with the person that was in charge of all of the people that were missionaries. And I remember it would be like a piece of paper. He would give us this piece of paper, and it would have like 2 columns on it, right side and left side. And he would say, fill out, it was some sort of emotional format, like fill out your emotions on this side and then what you're doing about it, or the thing. I don't remember what it asked, but it was very formulaic, and I could not stand that. And I remember I would take the piece of paper and I would turn it diagonally, and I would just write how I was doing emotionally, and I would just write long sentences, kind of like a journal, about how I was doing. Just to kind of say, I'm not going to do your format, but I believe in what you're asking, and I realize, and I will validate with a sincere heart, and I will answer this question authentically, but I won't follow the format. My brain is not like that. My emotions are not formulaic, and I'm not going to put them in a box. And I remember I would do that, and I didn't think anything of it. I filled out the form, I did the thing, I turned it in. But years later, I went to a big forum reunion of sorts of all the people that were ever in this program, this missionary program that I was a part of. This was like a non-denominational, kind of like a betterment program. And anyway, I went back and was enjoying this reunion. And as part of this reunion, we had this big forum where the leaders or the people that ran the program were, in a panel up on the front, and there were hundreds of people in the audience, and they were talking and asking questions of them. And someone said, who was the most difficult missionary that you ever worked with, and why were they so difficult? And one of the leaders said, me. Out of all those people in the forum, over all of the many, many years that they had done it. And I remember I was shocked. I was like, are you joking? I thought I was great. I mean, I loved my time there. I was very respectful, and I was never like a discipline problem, right? But I had a real rebellion against authority or formulas or structures. And he was like, yeah, you were the most difficult missionary that I ever had to like put into the program and do the program. He was like, you would want to like go to different places on the different days. Like if we had one day that was specifically for medical outreach and you were supposed to be there helping, you would be like, they don't need that today. They need this or they need that. And you just wouldn't follow the format. And I was like, yeah, that pretty much I never considered that to be such a difficulty, but I could see as a parent figure or as someone trying to harness everyone to kind of stay on the same group path, that was difficult. And this is part of our autonomy when we begin to take on our free will. So I think that that's important, is that sense of rebellion, but it is an immature state that we go through. It's the beginning phase, where even as a species, when you'll see riots break out or those that kind of fight against the system, right, and rage against the machine, this is the beginning of taking on a sovereign autonomy that says, this is not mine, this is not me, these are not my people, this is not what I stand for, I am the opposite, or I am the antithesis, or I am my momentum and my direction and my energy wants to go elsewhere, or in the opposite direction. There's frictional noise being created on an energetic level. And let this be what it is. This is part of the process. It is a catalytic process that creation needs to make something new, right? We utilize that frictional energy to build up, to create momentum, to make something else. And this is the personal empowerment, which would be like the step 2 of your free will, where you say, okay, well, what am I about? Who am I really? What is my voice? What is important to me? What do I want to do with this life? And this is the important kind of phase that we move into then when we begin to mature beyond just what we're against, and we begin to stand in and thrive on our own energetic power. And this is where you harness who you are in a way that funnels that energy into something that you are for, right? Which seems pretty simple. But when you are learning yourself, you first kind of learn through what you are not, and then we come into what we are, as that sense of, this is me, I am choosing me, I am not choosing these other things. And for me, I remember learning, like, I don't want to fight this stuff anymore. This energy is futile. And the pushing against almost seemed like a waste. And so I found myself saying, I don't want to fight against these systems. I can thrive just being me. It's not about the system. Like, who cares about the system? Why am I spending so much energy on the format instead of just spending my energy on what really matters to me and being the fullness of myself and empowering that? And no one can stop you from being you, right? When it has nothing to do with being against anything else. It's all flow, it's all forward, it's all for. It's positive energy momentum. So this is whatever you're about, you flooding that into it, right? And for me, I was a teacher at this point, and I kind of ran the gamut of teaching in different environments, from retention centers, from kids that came out of prison and were trying to kind of get caught back up on all of their academics from having missed so much school, or kind of pocketed times being in different prisons and things, or being on house arrest. And that teaching environment was, just like literally in a trailer. It was like nothing, very low funded, but teaching in that environment to teaching on the other side of the spectrum in these very well funded private schools, prep schools, schools where kids would really have a lot of financial support and backing for them. And they were very rigid religious systems, Christian schools. I wasn't allowed to show my tattoos. I had to wear like long sleeves every day. I couldn't have any sort of nose ring or piercing. I couldn't have any colored hair. And when I just didn't fight that, I'm like, okay. And then I would funnel my sense of self into what I was doing. I wasn't not myself. I was fully myself. I was still my passionate self. I would still encourage the kids to think outside the box, to be who they were. But it's beyond a system. It's first recognizing who you are and then being that and letting that flow through. So that has nothing to do, it makes the system feel very small compared to the empowerment of your true soul. And so when I did that, I found that I would have huge success in every avenue of what I was involved in. I was just an automatic leader in what I was doing. I was given more and more power within those structures. So I was just kind of doing very well. And I realized that when I let myself flood into the systems without using my energy to go against, I could have more potential and power to bring change, to bring my full self. And like I said, I didn't feel like I was negating who I was. I was being myself in those environments, some of which I would grow out of and find other things, but they would come naturally, not by a sense of fight, right? And that source of leadership is a natural process of when we first move through taking on our free will, then we are empowered and we begin to essentially let the cream in ourselves rise to the top. And we recognize through a sense of self-assessment what you're really about, what's important to you. And then that moves you into that kind of next phase of free will, which is actually self-discipline. It sounds like a paradox. And so much of our high spiritual practices and spiritual awareness and spiritual perception is through paradox. It is beyond the dualistic understanding of things. And in this celebration of discipline, it is the harnessing of your own energy. Talk about power and a question of practical power. This is it. This is the secret right here, is self-discipline. When you are disciplined with your free will and you harness your own energy fully and completely into the things that enliven you, that just bring out the best in you, that bring you joy, that you're truly excited about, you absolutely thrive in a way that no one can stop you. It is actually energetically not possible to be stopped. This is force. We're talking science here, okay? So this moves into the physics that's created through that energy that is harnessed in a singular pointed focus. When you utilize that and you are disciplined with the release of that charge of energy. So I'm now talking voltage, right? Your own energetic power. If you're excited about something, you're passionate about something, this is why I'm here, this is what I'm doing, that I'm being who I am. And this doesn't necessarily mean a career, right? It doesn't. It could be any career. It's just me being fully me in this moment, with this person on the bus, with this kid that's in front of me, with this dish that I have to wash in front of me. Whatever it is. It may be something minute, or it may be something that has a goal behind it, an Olympic athlete coming up with some new mathematical formula in quantum mechanics. Whatever it is, you really want to do that, and you are harnessed, and all the light, metaphorically speaking, physically speaking, everything is light, right? And you are harnessing that channel of light into this precise moment right now. This is literally a laser, scientifically, how it is harnessed. And think of the power of that laser. You are that laser. On a scientific level, on a physical level, on a mental level, and this is where the power comes behind the free will, that I choose this moment, this direction, right here, right now. And this laser beam focus is pointed right here. And now I'm going to flow all of my energy, all of my power, all of my attention here, and everything else I'm going to let go. This is the power of your free will, and it will feel and look mechanically on a practical level like self-discipline. It will. Isn't that hilarious? And there's the cycle, because at the beginning, the rebellion comes and it almost wouldn't make sense to have discipline, right? You're like against the idea of someone else enforcing discipline. But when you are empowered and you are standing in your own sense of free will, you have made the choice to self-discipline. And this is where your divine, godlike power comes into creation. You will create at that point, and literally anything is possible from that point. And we're talking like on a material level, this is how you bring things into being. This is how creation is done. This is how life manifests. This is the truth of your God-harnessed power into the now moment. That's how you do it. That's the secret. Self-discipline. And it will look different for everyone. It will look sometimes like ignoring things that don't matter, that have no, letting things go. Saying, I no longer choose to put my energy towards those things that feel frictional to me, that don't bring me joy, that don't bring me flow. I simply let those thoughts go. I let those memories go. I let those people go. I let the boundaries. It just diffuses. I have no fight with it. I can ignore, and there's no energetic, there's no magnet there. There's no pull. Simply a null energy. And yet when I want to discipline myself into things that have a point for me, that have desire, creativity, joy, spark, then I can fully channel that energy in. I can harness my power, and it literally will feel like it is electromagnetic voltage. That I know how to harness that by disciplining myself into regulated choices that support what I want to create, what I want to do, what I want to bring into fruition in this life. All right, I'm going to sign off here. I hope that that was empowering to you, and that wherever you are on that kind of phase 1 of rebellion, phase 2 of empowerment, or phase 3 of self-discipline, on a meta consciousness level too, where our species is with that. I think we can look and historically see times of rebellion, of empowerment, and now where we were moving into this phase of self-discipline, where people are choosing for themselves of how they would like to educate themselves, how they would like to step into and show who they are on this earth. It is a powerful, powerful time where we are bringing our own Christ light. By Christ, I'm talking about the power of the consciousness of your soul here in this moment, and bringing it in a pointed and powerful way and practical application in your life every day. You live a life like that, and anything's possible. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off here. I'll be back next week with another video.